Let me know in comments or chat if the music's too loud. So when I left off last, let's see where I was at here. So I had this box that I can, if I hit the A button on my controller, provide an impulse vertically. If I push left on the D-pad, I can go to the right or go to the left. It's quite a bit of friction, so it works better in the air. So this is definitely not a responsive platformer like I was hoping, but it's a start. This is Box 2D here. And I found a tutorial online where someone else used Box 2D to make, let's see where it is, platformer character controls. You can see here. They use a circle for the base of the character, and that reduces the friction by a lot instead of having a big square. It's pretty good because it seems like it will navigate slopes. He's able to make it work with moving platforms too, which is pretty cool. So you put some code here, which we're going to try and recreate. See if this works better than what we have already. So I'm going to get this up on my tablet so that I can have to serve two screens at the same time. Alright, so I got the code up over here. So let's go back to our editor here and see what's going on. The first thing I'm going to duplicate here is there's a create player function, private method that creates a body. So let's duplicate that. Rather than me just typing this up, might as well copy and paste it. I don't want to copy and paste everything. I want to make sure that I understand what I'm doing, rather than just copy and pasting everything blindly. I can do it piece by piece. so these are two variables we need to declare at the top of the file here. They're both fixtures. I'm right here beneath the player. So let's try using this to create the player. Let's see where we're at. Here it is. Oh, okay. See if I need that or not. Try it without that for a second. And we don't need any of this. This is all done in that create player method. So if this works, then we should have a box on top of a circle for the player now. We do, but see, the issue is that we're creating it beneath the floor, so it's just falling forever. So we fix that pretty quickly here. I had the position set here, 4 and 8. Again, these are all in meters. Let's do the same thing, 4 and 8, huh? Down here. Position set 4F and 8. Oh, let's try it. Oh, that's interesting. This is not what I was expecting. Okay, look at this. Wow. Now we have the circle is way, it's higher than, oh, now they switched. Actually, I think I can swing around the floor here. Well, now it's gone. as unintended. Okay, so I'm going to change these together. Alright, I'm going to go into the documentation. Oh, this is a boring thing to look at on a stream or a video, but it's a polygon-shaped set as box. So that's the width and the height. Changing this here shouldn't, just changes the width and the height. What they have here is they have player.setTransform. Let's check out that. Player is a body. Yeah, this is better. So we can use the set transform to set the initial position of the player. Let's do that. I'm going to set it the same as we had before, which is 4, 8. And then I also need to set the rotation, so it's set to 0. There we go. Better. Oh. I guess we do need that set fixed rotation. They probably move it differently than I do. I'm just moving it with impulses. Whoa! That shot up and far away. I don't think it's ever coming down. Let's change our forces just for now. I think we're gonna probably let's go by a factor of 10. Probably going to change all the control logic in a second here. So that was working a lot better. And then the jump is fine. Yeah, so, oh, whoa, whoa. Am I going to come back down? If I leave the frame, it looks like either I'm falling off the edge or it doesn't matter. Yeah, I still have way too much linear velocity on the left and the right here, but the friction feels a lot better. This is just a debug renderer, so I'm not too concerned about sort of glitching that's going on. Presumably when we have the sprites and eventually we can handle that better. For now I just want to get the movement to feel okay. So looking at their code, so they have a here we go, jump. Okay, they have they use set linear velocity. A set transform and then apply linear impulse, which is exactly what I'm doing actually. But what they do is they have a sensor, and if it's grounded, so if it's on the ground, then it applies the linear impulse, but as soon as it leaves the ground, it's going to stop applying that linear impulse. They're very complicated. I mean, I guess it's not terribly complicated, but they have a pretty big method here, is player grounded. It's iterating through a contact list. Seems to me we could probably do better. Well, I guess if you're worrying about moving platforms and jumping on top of boxes and things. That's about right. And then they have a maximum velocity, so they apply linear impulse up to the maximum velocity. Let's go ahead and do that, because right now if I hold the well, you can see it just flies out of the screen. So here we go. Let's add a maximum velocity. We can use that in our if statement here. So I'll use this in a couple places. So here we can get their linear velocity. I'm going to call this player velocity. So now we're going to check. Make sure we don't go over the maximum velocity. Just prevent us from flying off the screen like that. So. So if I push to the left and push to the right, and we're going to go faster. That maximum velocity I've set. Oh, yeah, I gotta fix that too. So if I hold down the A button, I continuously am applying a linear impulse upward. What I'm going to test though is if, yeah. So you can still control the player in the air, which I think is, you know, you can do that in Mario, way back in Super Mario Brothers. It's a pretty standard thing. Definitely seems to, oh, there we go. So we got to do this logic about only applying a linear impulse upward while the player is on the ground. So the way they did it in the example here is they had a method called isPlayerGrounded. Actually, it's pretty clever how they do it. So they get a contact list of contact points from the world. They iterate through it, and if the player is touching it, and also the thing that they're touching is below the player, then they say the player is grounded. Go ahead and copy and paste that again. Grounded platform. And this is a moving platform, which we haven't set up yet, so I'm gonna get rid of this for now. That should be a Java util list. Let's get rid of these for a second. So if this works, then when you push the A button, you need to check that the player is grounded. Oh, okay. We have to set enter the delta time. Out of curiosity, let me see how they use that. Looks like they don't use it at all in here. It's interesting. Well, let's remove it for now. If we need it later, figure it out then. For now, if you're pushing the A button and the player is grounded, then you apply this linear impulse. Otherwise, you don't. So this should mean that the jump button should only lift them off the ground for a little bit, and then they'll fall back down. So let's see if that works. Oh, nope, got an error. It's something to do with this cast I did. Bad logic, GDX utils array cannot be cast to Java util list. Okay, this might be a difference in the version of libGDX they used in the example and the one I'm using. We just need to find out that what this world get contact list returns. Make sure we're doing the right thing here. Alright, so let's figure that out. I do with my world. It's an array. Okay. An array is a okay, it's iterable. Alright, this will work. Just make sure that we get the right one here. Yep. 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 Okay. As a size field. Yes. Everything else should be the same. So if I push A, yeah. Actually, if I hold it, it just kind of bounces. It's a bouncy ball. Jump height's not enough. I think they use something like 30 in the demo. Yeah, 30. Let's try that. I have to look at this is player grounded method again because I don't fully understand it. I'm just having fun making my character bounce around. Whoa. That's a pretty high jump. One thing I don't like about this is, so normally in a platformer you're able to jump to different heights if you hold the button longer or release it. I'm not currently doing that. So I have, yeah. See if they do anything about that. Yeah, so what they have is, they call it still time and damp. I'm not sure what the still time is for yet, but the damping is that you continue to apply linear velocity to the player while you're holding the A, but you do it only 90% of what. Is this right? Okay, that's damping for the left and the right. What you want to happen is you want to be able to hold the A button and go a little bit higher, or just do a short tap of the A button and have it be a shorter, jump height. I feel like we could do something similar to what they do for the left and right arrows. So if we set this linear impulse down again to I don't know, 10 or something. So if the player is on the ground, then you're going to apply the full linear impulse. Otherwise, you can provide a linear impulse that is 90% of what the player's velocity was in the previous frame. So it'll taper off. Get rid of this. So if this works, we should be able to hold the A button and go higher, or just tap it and do a short jump. It's still pretty high. If I hold it though, yeah. Alright, so that's just my initial. This needs to be a lot lower. It seems a lot higher than it was. Oh. Let's try half. And that's probably gonna be too much still. It's a third. That's better. I think my gravity might be less than what they have set. 90% I think is going to be way too much. So right now I can hold it and just zooms way up. I really need to, rather than just going 90% per frame, I need to probably scale this according to the delta time. But I'll have to do that later. Let's go down to about a third. Probably even less. Let's try a tenth per frame. Should be pretty quick. Taper off to 0. Oh yeah, that's nothing. Sorry, I need to go more than that. Alright, I'm obviously doing something wrong here. So that's sort of working. I mean, I wouldn't say it really feels great, but the idea is that if I just tap, it does like a short little hop. So if I push and hold, then it jumps higher. It's very floaty. And you increase the friction too. It sort of feels like Princess Peach in Super Mario Brothers 2. On an ice level, that's what it feels like. One thing I probably would do is if you hold the A button right now, you bounce. I don't think platformers usually do that. Usually you land and then you need to push it again. I'll have to sort of do some tests about that. I'm sort of going to get some old Nintendo games up. And, you know, sort of see how they feel, see what they do. At some point I had some Nintendo games. I'll have to look for them. They're on my son's computer right now. He's sleeping. Friction should be pretty easy to handle here. It's still really slippery. There's one thing they do in the demo here, which is they change the friction based on whether the player's on the ground or not. Yeah, if the player is not on the ground, then they set the friction for the player to 0. Oh, okay. And if you're trying to move, they change the friction too. It's interesting. If you don't have your movement keys pressed, then they set the friction very high. If you do have the movement keys set, then they set the friction very low. Sorry, I'm looking at this on my tablet. Looking at this over here. So if your movement keys are not pressed and the still time is greater than 0.2, then they set the friction very, very high. Presumably this is so that the player won't get knocked around by other things knocking into it. But otherwise, they set the friction very low. If you're trying to move. This is the seems kind of hacky. gonna go find those Nintendo game ROMs that I know I have. Fun to kind of think a little bit about how I actually want the player to move. There is another option, which is to remove the player from the physics entirely, or to attach them to some sort of a fixture that you control. And then you can make him move however you want him to move without having to worry about the physics of it. I took a break for a little bit, see if I can find those Nintendo games I want to test out, and then I'll be back.